June 1815, Napoleon Bonaparte had escaped exile on the island of Elba and marched back into Paris without firing a single shot. Europe was terrified. The Allied powers, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, declared him an outlaw and raised their armies once more.
He has escaped Elba and is raising an army in France. We must declare him an outlaw immediately.
An outlaw?
Napoleon knew he had one chance. Before those armies could unite, he had to strike first, and so
Von hier stoßen wir vor! Haltet Namur! Der Feind darf nicht entkommen!
more than 120,000 French soldiers began their march north toward Belgium, toward a small village called Waterloo.
Measure the distance to the forest.
They are attacking Plancenoit. We must commit the guard now.
Two battles had already been fought, and neither side had won a clean victory. Napoleon had pushed the Prussians back at Ligny, but Wellington's forces held at Quatre. Both armies now faced each other across a shallow valley south of Brussels.
Haltet die Linie! Bajonette fertig! Forward, men! Show no mercy! Charge!
They are massing near the crossroads. Prepare the reserves.
Wellington chose his ground carefully, a gentle ridge near a village called Waterloo. Napoleon believed he would crush the British before the Prussians could return.
But we are not finished.
Forward! To Wavre! The battle is not lost! We fight on!
We hold here. Tell the men to rest.
That night, a heavy rain soaked the earth,
Push those guns! We must hold the ridge!
and both armies, nobody slept well.
Move into the sunken road quickly now! Colonel, the regiment is arrayed! Hold the line, men! Steady!
God willing, we'll see morning. Tomorrow, we finish this.
At 11:30 in the morning, the greatest battle of the 19th century began. Napoleon's opening move was a feint.
The ground is too soft. We must wait for it to dry. His Majesty seems certain of their position. The ground is too wet for the artillery to be decisive early on.
A massive assault on the fortified farm of Hougoumont, intended to draw Wellington's reserves southward. It didn't work.
Do not yield the gate!
Wellington held firm, but the battle that followed was unlike anything Europe had ever seen. More than 180,000 soldiers packed into just a few square miles of farmland, fighting for the future of the world. For nearly 3 hours, French cavalry launched charge after charge
Keep your heads down! Hold steady!
against Wellington's infantry.
Please God, let us be victorious today. Protect my brothers in arms and see me safely home.
12,000 horsemen, wave after wave of steel and thunder,
Forward, men! To the walls! Charge! Bar it! Bar it now! Charge!
but Wellington's men knew their trade. They formed their squares and they held. By late afternoon, the French had captured the farm of La Haye Saint, the key to the Allied center.
Forward! For France and the Emperor! Charge! Forward! For the Emperor! Square! Hold the square! Load and fire! Load and fire! That's all there is.
Why does Ney charge without infantry?
Wellington's line was close to breaking, and then from the east came the distant sound of Prussian guns. Blücher had returned. The Prussians arrived in force by late afternoon, attacking the French right flank.
Hold your fire until they reach the gate!
Enfants de France, en avant! Pour l'empereur! Chargez!
My lord, the center is under tremendous pressure.
I know. We must hold until nightfall, or until the Prussians come.
The cannons, they are truly here. Prepare the men. We are about to receive them. Forward, my children! Forward! Wellington must not stand alone!
At the village of Fresnoy, Napoleon was now fighting on two fronts. Wellington seized the moment. He ordered the general advance.
Send the cavalry to hold them. We must finish Wellington first. Hold the line! Push them back! Attack! Forward!
Along the entire ridge, and Napoleon threw in his last reserve. The Imperial Guard, the most feared soldiers in Europe, had never been defeated in battle.
There it is. There it is at last.
Now he sent them up the slope toward the British guns. Everything depended on the next few minutes.
Gentlemen, the moment has come. We attack all along the line.
For the first and only time in their history, the Imperial Guard retreated.
Charge, men! Forward! Push them back!
Halte! Par ici! Reformez les rangs!
Tenez bon, soldats! Tenez bon! The guard advances. Now, attention! Present arms. By the right, quick march. Close ranks. Steady, march on! Hold the line, lads! Give them a volley!
When the cry went through the French army, La Garde recule, the guard forced back. Panic spread like wildfire.
Stand up! Make ready!
In minutes, Napoleon's magnificent army ceased to exist as a fighting force. Wellington rode to the ridge crest and swept his head forward, the signal for general advance. The Battle of Waterloo was over. It had lasted 9 hours.
La Garde recule! The Guard retreats! La Garde recule! The Guard retreats! Run! Save yourselves!
By God. I never thought it would be so close.
Mein lieber Kamerad. Mai, quelle Affäre.
Napoleon abdicated 4 days after Waterloo. He surrendered himself to the British, hoping to be treated as a gentleman, perhaps given exile in England. Instead, he was sent to Saint Helena, a tiny volcanic island in the South Atlantic, 2,000 miles from the nearest continent. He would never leave. On that island, he spent his final years dictating his memoirs, crafting the legend he wanted history to remember. He died in 1821. He was 51 years old. Waterloo reshaped the world. The Congress of Vienna created a new European order that would hold more or less for 100 years. Britain emerged as the dominant global power. Prussia grew stronger, and within 50 years would unite the German states into a single nation. More than 47,000 men were killed or wounded.
Waterloo was a tragedy of errors. Had Grouchy arrived but an hour sooner, the outcome, indeed the very map of Europe, would be different today.
In those 9 hours of battle, Waterloo entered the language of every culture on earth as a word for decisive.
Gentlemen, after so many years of conflict, we have finally secured the peace of Europe.
Hurrah, hurrah! Long live the victory!
To the Duke of Wellington.
To victory!
Gentlemen, my thanks. I am deeply honored.
Final defeat. Even today, people say he met his Waterloo. The field is quiet now, with groves where cavalry charged. Farmhouses stand where men fought room to room. On a clear day, standing on the ridge at Mont Saint-Jean, you can see the whole valley, every angle of attack, every desperate defense laid out before you like a story. Napoleon once said he lost Waterloo because of bad luck, bad ground, a subordinate who failed him. Wellington said something different. He said, it was the nearest landing you ever saw in your life. Both men were right. That's the nature of battle. That's the nature of history, decided in hours, remembered for centuries.